Hi everybody, we are Mike and Brenda Baker, and today we are going to be talking about ways to bond and connect with stepkids. Take it away, hun.
All right, ways to bond and connect with your stepkids. Now, there's another video, and there'll be a link down below for it, but date nights. Date nights aren't only for couples. A lot of times date nights are for you and your kids too, whether it be you and maybe all of the kids on a date night, or you and each individual kid. And you can kind of break it up. You do need to have date nights with the individual kids, but we're talking specifically about your stepkids here. The whole idea being, you now have a new relationship you have to build.
Several. If you have several kids, and then with your spouse, don't you think?
Yeah. And I don't care how long you've been dating before you got married or whatever. This kid really only kind of knows you. So you really do need to take the time to get to know them. And date nights are a great way to do that. Mm-hmm. Date nights give time. And okay, now I know some of you are thinking, hey, this kid doesn't even want to be in the same room with me. Okay, this is one of those times where the kid doesn't get a choice. You've got to start building things. Hey, hey, Billy, hey, Sarah, whatever it is. Hey, we're going to go do this. It's our date night this week, and we'll talk about a few different ideas for that. But you just tell them it's date night on Thursday night. You need to be thinking about that. And if they bellyache and moan and I don't want to go, it doesn't matter. They go. Mm-hmm. You go. No matter how much they pitch a fit, date night is essential.
Well, and we're not saying this to you because this is just what we think. This is what we've dealt with. One of our boys didn't like me so much. He was way more about his mom, and he refused to accept me. But we decided a long time ago that we were going to do everything we could to blend our family together. When we got married, Mike had 2 children and I had 1. And Mike ended up adopting mine, but we had a instant family.
Yeah.
And this child just refused to let me into his world. And honestly, even with all of my effort, it only worked for a short time. By the time Mike went to Iraq the first time, this child just refused to even like me. But absolutely, did I make mistakes? Yes. However, nothing that I did was it was not necessary for me to be treated the way that I was treated. But his mom was definitely fueling that anger and that hate toward me. So it's really important when you're dealing with a child that doesn't like you, doesn't want to be around you, you don't like them, you feel like they're a big baby, to be patient. You want to be a parent, not a step parent. And what I learned really fast in watching Mike, because he was an excellent parent to my kid who wasn't his, I learned that he needed to drop the step. The more active and involved that Mike was with my son, as well as his own, the better the children worked together, but also worked cohesively as a family. And so I know that with the harder kids, the ones that are not accepting you as a parent, it's going to be difficult. And you're going to have a whole lot of grace and a whole lot of patience to deal with that. However, do it. Do it anyways, because at least if things go bad when they are older, you know that it was not because of you. You don't have any regrets. You are not in that space where you feel like, crap, I could have done so much better, which, I mean, within reason. Yes, you will be able to look back and go, man, if I would have done this, if I would have done that. But don't let just being their step parent and just kind of brushing them off be an issue.
Because you really got to keep in mind that although she had issues with him, and she actively spent time with just him,
yes,
and she actively did the date night thing, and those times did help at the time.
Yes.
Okay, and they did make for a more cohesive family. The real problems came with him once he got older.
Yes. Because the roots of bitterness started to sprout up, and those were coming from his mom, but also from some other areas as well.
Yeah, and those are issues that you look back on and you're like, well, I guess I missed that. But you don't have to miss it. Okay?
Exactly.
So the whole point here is being a parent. You guys are not it irritates me every time I hear, oh, this is my stepdad, this is my stepmom, this is my stepson, this is my stepdaughter. Drop it. Drop it. The only difference between a daughter and a stepdaughter is the step. It makes no difference. You all chose to live in the same house. You chose to get married. You chose to bring this family together. You chose to be the mom, to be the dad, that office in the house, not the stepmom. Do you know what the difference in duties is between a stepmom and a mom? Nothing. So get rid of the step. It doesn't matter. You're a mom, you're a dad. The step doesn't matter. Be a parent. It makes a tremendous difference because there is a difference in attitude when it comes to step parenting.
Yes.
Just like there's a difference in attitude between when a kid is referred to as a teenager or a young adult.
Yes.
If you refer to a kid as a young adult and you always say, look, you're a young adult, this is what I expect out of a young adult, there's a whole different level of responsibility. If you say, oh, he's just a teenager, oh, she's just a teenager,
They're just being
now
a
you've
teen.
given them an excuse for poor behavior and not meeting the standard. Young adults meet the standard, teenagers don't have to. So keep that in mind. Terminology matters. Drop the step, be a parent, not a step parent.
Yes.
Go ahead.
You finished your
Okay,
thought.
so
Sorry.
which brings us into number 3. How do you treat your spouse? Okay, so obviously it's your kids, my kids. Maybe it's just your kids. Maybe it's just my kids. But how do you treat the spouse? That kid is watching. Step kid or your kid, watching to see how you treat your spouse. And how you treat your spouse is not only how they'll treat their spouse, it's how they're going to treat your spouse.
And Mike is the perfect person to talk about this stuff because he has always treated me like the queen of his household. He has never treated me in a way that was negative, even when, you can't hear this. I'm hard to live with sometimes. I admit it. But even that, he hasn't ever treated me like I'm just a jerk and I just need to get over myself. We've had some issues, absolutely, but he always treats me well, way better than I deserve, I feel like. And I've tried to do the same with him, which I haven't always done great, but most of the time I do well. And so, keep going. You're the perfect person.
So, no, I'm not the perfect person.
To talk about this as well.
Excuse me. So, here's the deal. You have to treat your spouse like they're royalty. And I'm not talking about kissing their butt the entire time.
Yes.
I'm talking about treating them with the respect due a spouse. If you are the dude, I'll just tell you straight up that only a king can treat a woman like a queen.
Yes.
And if you're the woman, then only a queen can treat a man, can treat a king like a man like a king. Okay, so quit this whole, well, I worked all day, you can do the rest, or, well, that's your kid. Okay, that's silliness and stupid.
Men, let me just be straight with you. We see more and more often men that work all day, they have a stay-at-home wife who comes home and sits his butt down and plays video games for the rest of the time that he's home. That is absolutely not treating your wife like the queen. She will not rise up to that. And frankly, you're going to end up divorced if you do that.
And ladies, nagging your husband is not going to help. All right, giving a legitimate concern. Hey, you're on the video games as soon as you get home, and you're not off till after the kids go to bed. Could you spend some time with kids? Could you spend some time with me? Try to have a discussion. But if you're just like, why are you always on the video games? That is not going to help your cause.
No.
And as far as guys go, this has become a huge video games. All right, look, I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer forever. Mm-hmm. When my kids were young, I recognized right away that gaming was going to take away from my family time because I was a pretty big gamer. All right. And so what I did was I got up earlier than everybody else, and I would play for an hour or two every day. But my family never knew. My family knew I got up, but they never. But that time never interfered with any of their time. That was my time. That's when I played, and they still got the time that they deserved. Okay, if you come home after work and you think that you deserve to sit down, then sit down for like 15 minutes and then get your butt up because you live in that house too.
Yep. Right. And one of the things that Mike did as our kids got older, or even for a date night, if he was doing a date night with one of them, they would say, "Hey, Dad," when it was their turn to choose. "Hey, Dad, can we play video games?" "Okay, sure." That's different. We're not talking about that. So please understand, we're not putting laws and rules down. What we're saying is we see these things over and over and over with clients, people we know. It's never going to go well. If you and your wife or husband, whatever it is, are not working on the same page, on the same team, and working toward one goal, you will not end up together when the kids are older. It won't happen.
Yeah, I touched a little bit on this on a rant video I just did too. So that'll be linked down below if you'd like to see that. That's where it's primarily me.
Yeah.
And talking about my weird addiction to watching Sister Wives.
Wives.
But it makes a lot more sense when you go watch it. So just go ahead.
Right. So in these things, we're not telling you these are the rules, these are the only ways to do things, because obviously your family is different than ours. We're giving you tools that actually work. And these are those things. So we hope that this helped you today. We hope that you gleaned something from this whole thing that you can take and use today. And we're so grateful you were here with us today. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.